You're not part of our long-term vision, Elise. That wasn't the first betrayal Marcus had delivered, just the first one wrapped in corporate charm. Let's go back 6 years, to a rainy morning in Milwaukee that reeked of damp carpet and lukewarm ambition. Elise had just joined Norwell Technologies, bright-eyed at 28, thrilled to be part of a lean fintech startup run by visionaries. She believed equity meant inclusion. She believed Marcus, the CEO, when he said we're building this together. The Series A pitch deck? Elise stayed up formatting it. Marcus? Out drinking with investors. He wandered in late and grinned his way through the applause, like a groom showing up for a wedding he didn't plan. That was the moment she realized. He wins. You build. Team, Marcus said often, with a voice like he was already bored. But Elise learned quickly. Team meant you bleed, I brand. Still, she stayed. She negotiated her contract quietly, added a single line under performance incentives. Legal didn't even blink. 5% commission on originated deals, payable in full upon termination. Insurance, just in case. 6 years of 1 a.m. Slack messages, weekends lost to launch crises, and her prototypes repackaged in Marcus's speeches as disruptive pivots. She said nothing when her designs won awards he collected, said nothing when he told the board, my team performs because I pressure them to excel. But Elise remembered. She kept a hidden folder labeled Sunset. Inside, client decks, call logs, her clause, highlighted in bold. Then it came. A Thursday email, FWD, Infrastructure Inquiry. The subject line was vague. Marcus's note, give it a look, champ. Translation, waste your time. She didn't. She scheduled a call, then another, then coffee. She jotted notes in her leather journal, slid the deck into her Sunset folder, and waited. This time, she'd built the whole thing, for herself. They weren't just another prospect. They were massive. Think Department of Energy scale, serious capital, real-world use cases, and best of all, no one else had approached them yet. Elise didn't tell Marcus. She leaned into the chaos he created instead. That same week, he dumped 3 failing software rollouts on her plate, a calculated distraction. You're great with dumpster fires, he joked, crumbs of protein cookie stuck in his beard. Elise smiled. Happy to help. Her nights became caffeine-fueled marathons, rewriting broken code. Her days? Pure diplomacy. She nurtured that lead like it was the only thing that mattered. She spoke with ops, procurement, and risk analysts. She offered mock-ups, reviewed feedback, revised architecture docs. Every calendar invite listed her as the organizer. Every NDA carried her signature. She never bragged, never CC'd Marcus. She just built, like a ghost, laying digital foundation bricks no one else noticed. Once, Marcus leaned over her desk, mouth half full, and asked, "What's the ETA on the gateway fixes?" His eyes landed on her screen. "Who's Informis Group?" "Dead lead," Elise replied without flinching. He shrugged and left. Elise minimized the signed contract draft, took a sip of cold coffee, and clicked open a new email. Subject, Proposal V3, Final Review. Attached, a 37-slide deck, timeline, scope, budget, all stamped with her initials. She'd learned the rhythm of the chaos machine, and soon it'd be time to throw in the wrench. The client, Informis Group, was headquartered in a plain, windowless facility outside Denver. Steel doors, biometric scanners. Not flashy, not loud, just precise. No job postings, no press. Their LinkedIn was a placeholder. The logo looked like a temperature sensor app. But the deeper Elise went, the clearer it became. Informis wasn't just real. They could shift an entire quarter's revenue with a quiet yes. She met Aaron, their procurement lead, over coffee. No cream, no small talk, just sharp questions and her steady answers. She brought everything, charts, contingencies, and zero ego. She didn't say synergy once. At the end of the meeting, Aaron said, "We're used to salespeople. You're not that?" "I'm not," Elise replied. "I'm a builder." He nodded. "Keep building." From that moment, she never missed a beat. Every interaction was recorded, not in the company's CRM where Marcus could snoop, but in a private system Elise built herself. Time-stamped emails, PDFs of meeting agendas, Zoom transcripts with her as host, a private Trello board tracking each milestone. Every document she sent carried metadata with her initials. When Aaron requested a white paper, she revised one she'd ghostwritten under a VP's name months ago, this time with her name on the byline. Back at Norwell Technologies, Marcus was knee-deep in a culture revamp. New breakroom posters, Slack channels titled Radical Transparency, a digital suggestion box filled with sarcastic requests for standing desks and quiet chairs. Elise ignored it all. She worked in the gaps, in the silence between fire drills. No one noticed when she blocked off Thursdays as training. No one asked why she stepped out for calls that just happened to align with procurement meetings at Informis. She didn't pitch. She advised. She listened. She became indispensable. And the more value she added, the more Informis welcomed her in. First the product team, then procurement, then a director with signing power. Every invite got logged, every name, every shift. Her spreadsheet tracked influence. Green for allies, yellow for neutral, red for legal. By month 3, they were mapping rollout timelines. Back at Norwell, Marcus handed her a bloated JIRA board labeled Stretch Goals. She raised a gentle concern. He grinned, clapped her shoulder, and said, "Ease up, champ. Don't burn out." She smiled. Wouldn't dream of it. That night, she created a new folder. Informis Phase 2. Inside, a signed NDA, a deployment brief, and a technical memo. All under her name. Nothing went to sales. Nothing logged in CRM. If you want to see how the next move unfolds, and trust me, it's worth it, go ahead and tap subscribe. Quiet victories like this aren't the end. They're just the setup for what's coming next. And if anyone had looked closely, they'd have seen. Her calendar was full of legacy audits, her travel just a little too patterned. But no one looked. Marcus had convinced himself Elise was a workhorse, reliable, non-threatening, invisible. She let him believe that. Invisibility had advantages. No interruptions, no politics, no credit, just room to build. She became the ghost behind the wall no one saw coming. Behind that wall, $24 million in climbing. The quiet takedown began with a smile. "All right, team," Marcus said, pacing like a caffeine-fueled TED Talk dropout in front of the glass conference wall. Beta goes live March 1st. No exceptions, no excuses. It was January 10th. Every engineer in the room stared blankly. The project, a barely functioning customer insight platform Marcus had sold to investors as revolutionary, was still missing basic components. Half the UI hadn't been approved. QA hadn't run a single scenario. And the lead back-end dev had resigned that morning, citing irreversible stress fatigue. Marcus didn't flinch. "If you're not dying, you're not trying," he declared, grinning like someone quoting his own merch line. "I want fire in your eyes and sweat in your coffee." Elise blinked once. Seated at the far end, pen still, posture perfect. She didn't flinch when Marcus added, "Elise will quarterback the whole thing. She's a machine." Nobody said a word. That afternoon, the JIRA board exploded. Tasks stacked like rubble after a demo day, front-end tickets with no specs, middleware work requiring 3 uncontracted vendors. Marcus added red flag priorities and tagged everyone. At Channel, at You, at Universe. Elise copied the task list into a hidden folder, then quietly untagged herself from anything non-essential. Then she opened her real workspace, Informis. While Marcus spiraled in his ego echo chamber, Elise was finalizing deployment. Procurement had cleared their review. Legal had 1 clause left. The infrastructure team was prepping Sandbox. A director had already asked if she'd be available for roadmap planning in February. They didn't say if anymore. They said when. Elise nodded through sprints, replied calmly to late-night Slack pings. Listened to Marcus's voice notes calling her the last adult in the room. And she let him believe it. Each night after 6 p.m., when the noise of Slack dulled to static, Elise silenced every ping, opened her encrypted drive, and got to work. Pricing models, integration roadmaps, licensing tiers. Every file signed with her encrypted digital signature. Every revision showed her mark. She cleaned scopes, tightened delivery timelines, added polish to the statement of work. It was exact, deliberate, a mosaic of traceable authorship. Around 1:32 a.m. on a Wednesday, she uploaded the final proposal to Informis Group's secure portal. By 7:12 a.m., she walked into Norwell Technologies with a venti black coffee and a serene smile. Marcus burst from his glass-walled office, shirt untucked, eyes wild with self-importance. "We're skipping QA, sending a demo to the board this week. Cool with that, Elise?" "Sure," she said softly. "I'll make it happen." Then she walked calmly to her desk and uploaded another file to her private archive, Informis Pricing Final.pdf, and scheduled a legal alignment call for 4 p.m. that day. She told no one. By Friday, the office mood was near collapse. Exhaustion oozed from every hallway. A junior developer cried during stand-up. Another called Marcus a sociopath in the team chat. HR issued a vague wellness memo titled "Mental Strength is a Muscle," complete with a stock photo of a woman doing yoga in a war zone. Elise didn't engage. She wasn't propping up Marcus's startup fantasy anymore. She was finishing something that actually mattered. Something with her name on it. Every time she opened that $24 million proposal with deal originator, Elise Tran, stamped cleanly at the top, she reminded herself, "He has no idea he just made me wealthy." At 8:43 a.m., it arrived. Calendar invite, all hands, urgent mandatory, thunderbolt emoji and all. No agenda, just another ego-driven circus. At 9 a.m., the team filed into the fourth-floor glass box. Half were yawning. A few cried into dry bagels. Marcus walked in last. Fresh haircut, open collar, smug grin. Showtime. "Big news," Marcus said, clapping his hands like a washed-up motivational speaker. "Massive breakthrough with a strategic partner. I've been working behind the scenes for weeks. Super confidential stuff." Elise froze mid-sip. Her coffee hit her throat like gravel. Marcus clicked the remote. A slide lit up the screen. Informis Group, Strategic Infrastructure Deployment Partnership. Their logo. Her deck. Her scope document. Cropped, rebranded, metadata stripped. Her fingerprint erased. Marcus grinned. "This partnership is a game changer. Custom rollouts, enterprise-scale performance, fully modular frameworks." Her work reduced to slick bullet points. He didn't glance her way. The room clapped like trained seals. Elise stayed still, one hand flat on her notebook, heart calm but electric. In her head, one thought looped. "You really think you can eat the fruit and bury the tree?" Marcus circled the slides again, then opened the floor to questions no one dared voice. Someone whispered, "Wait, when did this happen?" Marcus waved it off. "Quiet hustle. You know how I operate." Elise nodded with the rest, jotted a meaningless note, smiled like a wax figure. On the way out, Marcus clapped her shoulder. "Knew you'd pull through under pressure." She didn't respond. Back at her desk, she opened the folder. Informis signature packet. Final.pdf. Then she forwarded the entire chain to Norwell's legal department. Subject line, record keeping. Deal originator, Elise Tran. She attached the procurement emails, the NDA from 6 months ago, the DocuSign audit log, her name on every line. Then she walked to HR. "Can I get a printed copy of my employment contract?" she asked. "Everything all right?" the rep asked. "Just routine," she said. 10 minutes later, she sat in the empty break room, flipping pages. Her finger stopped at a buried clause. Section 9.2, Commission on Originated Contracts. Employees shall receive a 5% commission on any contract directly originated and finalized under their oversight, payable in full within 14 business days of termination. Still valid, still enforceable, still hers. Elise folded the contract copy, slid it into her leather satchel, and stepped out as the Denver skyline burned gold behind her, like a vault door easing shut. Back at her desk, Slack lit up with emojis and backpats. Marcus had already posted a blurry team selfie with the caption, "Big wins with big vision. Strategy, speed, success." Elise's name wasn't mentioned, but her inbox pinged. "Aaron from Invoice. Let me know if the contract handoff went smoothly. We're excited to build with you." Elise replied, short and clean. "All received. Let's make it count." Then she muted Marcus's Slack channel, saved the final contract PDF in her insurance folder, and shut her laptop for the night. He had just fired the starter pistol and didn't even know he was the one in the crosshairs. The final act began with catered muffins. Marcus scheduled an all-hands meeting. Calendar title: Strategic Realignment Session. Mandatory. The kind of label that smelled like synergy and bloodshed. Elise walked into the glass conference room knowing what was coming. Everyone else did too. The air reeked of citrus cleaner and quiet dread. A sweating fruit tray sat untouched. Muffins lined up like suspects. Notebooks with company logos nobody would ever open. Marcus strolled in late, wearing a blazer over a t-shirt that read, "Build, disrupt, repeat." His smile was performative, scanning the room like a sales pitch in search of an audience. "Thanks for being here," he began, as if he hadn't plotted this the night before over microbrews. "Today's about clarity, about aligning with our core values, trimming the fat, and focusing on what drives impact." Trimming the fat. Elise sat third seat from the left, hands folded, spine straight. Her stomach didn't sink, it hardened. Marcus launched into slides about burn rate sensitivity and operational bloat, code for blowing the budget on a pointless AI pilot. Then came the turn. "Which brings me to leadership accountability," Marcus said, locking eyes with her. The next slide read, "Realigning key roles." "This company has grown fast," he said, "but not everything scales. Effective today, we're parting ways with Elise Tran. We thank her for her contributions. No warning, no review, just a public execution wrapped in a corporate smile." The silence cracked. Someone dropped a pen. Another stared into their coffee like it held moral clarity. A junior dev whispered, "Wait, what?" Elise didn't respond. Marcus wasn't done. "Frankly, several inefficiencies in last quarter's budget stemmed from product ops mismanagement," he said, barely disguising the jab. "We can't afford legacy friction." Legacy friction. He just called her obsolete in front of interns who once asked for her mentorship, in front of HR reps waiting by the exit, armed with printed NDAs and well-practiced sympathy. Externally, Elise didn't move. But inside, something refined and volcanic clicked into place. Not outrage, not panic. Something more precise. She stood. Her chair made a clean scrape across tile. No glare, no retort. Just a glance toward the team. People with bloodshot eyes and brittle hope. She nodded once, then turned. The HR rep tried to intercept her with a white envelope. Elise didn't break stride. Behind her, Marcus chuckled. "You're not aligned with our future," he said. The clapping that followed was weak, off rhythm, like a crowd unsure whether to applaud or evacuate. Marcus grinned like he'd landed the pitch of a lifetime. What no one in that glass box realized was, Elise had already closed the real deal. She didn't head for the elevator. She returned to her desk, packed slowly, her planner, 2 plants, and a small black thumb drive labeled EG Final, the same drive holding every file tied to the Invoice contract. Before leaving, she opened her laptop one last time. One email, one sentence. Subject: Clause 9.2. Commission upon termination attachment, signed contract, audit log, and DocuSign chain. Send. Elise whispered, "Aligned now," and walked out into the sun. The email hit legal at 3:11 p.m. sharp. No emojis, no drama. Just the kind of message that detonates boardrooms. Her attorney, Marcy Lerner, had read the clause twice, laughed once, and said, "Oh, sweetheart, he stepped on a landmine in steel-toe boots." Key fob in one hand, drink in the other. Elise didn't have to hit send. Marcy already had. The email was surgical. Inside it, everything. A signed PDF of the Informis contract with full DocuSign audit trail, a spreadsheet logging 36 emails, 14 client calls, 5 authored white papers, all with Elise Tran listed as originator, screenshots of Slack threads, calendar invites with her name, even a saved voice memo from the procurement lead saying casually, "Just loop Elise in. She's been our point since day one." At the bottom of the message, an invoice, $1,200,000, due within 14 business days per section 9.2. No exclamation marks, no angry threats, just precision, cold, clean, and airtight. By 3:34 p.m., Norwell Legal opened the email. By 3:36 p.m., Marcus's phone buzzed during his second all-hands victory meeting. He ignored it. By 3:40, the buzz came again. And again. Meanwhile, Slack began to crack. At first, just a quiet question in number random. Didn't Elise lead Informis? Then someone posted a planning doc with her initials beside Partner Outreach. 5 minutes later, an engineer dropped version control screenshots showing Elise's tags on the final proposal. It unraveled fast. Whispers turned into DMS. DMs turned into threads. Receipts emerged. Memory sharpened. Inboxes were searched like crime scenes. At 4 p.m., a product manager sent a cryptic message. "Check your email. You'll want popcorn." By 4:12, Marcus's calendar filled up. Legal, HR, and one grim meeting titled Urgent Compliance Review. General Counsel required. Marcy CC'd Elise on every reply. She didn't read them. She was halfway through a margarita on a rooftop 2 neighborhoods away. Sun on her face. Phone on silent. The city humming below. Back at HQ, Marcus finally read Clause 9.2. His lips moved, hoping the words would change. They didn't. He slammed his laptop shut, then sank back into his chair. He knew. She played the long game. And she won. No one said her name aloud. They just called her, her. Did you hear what her lawyer sent? Wait, wasn't that her slide deck from Q3? Is her name really on the metadata? By 5 p.m., HR stopped replying to messages. Legal quietly restricted drive access. Marcus's assistant suddenly called out, "Sick," for the rest of the week. Someone printed the invoice and left it face up on the main office printer. No one touched it. $1.2 million. Right there in black and white. Every dollar earned by the woman they thought they could fire without noise. But the quiet ones don't disappear. They detonate. By Monday, the air at Norwell Technologies was thick. Uneasy silence wrapped around glass walls and open floor plans. Elise's name wasn't spoken, but it echoed. Marcus arrived late. No smile, no coffee, just clenched jaws and haunted eyes. The look of a man who realized the quicksand had already reached his throat. He stormed into legal like a man holding a match in a burning building. "This is crap," he snapped. "She didn't originate that deal. I did. I've been talking to Informis for months." He hadn't. He barely knew how to spell Informis a month ago. Patricia Nguyen, head of legal, calm, relentless, and fueled by triple espresso, didn't blink. She clicked twice, rotated her screen, and said, "Let's walk through the record." First, 36 calendar invites, everyone initiated by Elise, all with external stakeholders. Marcus's name? Nowhere. Next, the NDA. Elise listed as sender. Timestamp, 6 months back. Then the signed scope of work, pricing documents, a folder marked Informis, confidential shared only with legal. Then came the email chain. "Thanks, Elise. You've made this smooth from start to finish. Looking forward to final signature. Aaron, Informis procurement." And finally, the kill shot. A voice memo from a recorded Zoom call. "Elise, I didn't think we'd find alignment, but you proved me wrong. This deal wouldn't be happening without you." Marcus stared like the screen had just slapped him. "She wasn't authorized to act as lead," he tried. "There's no formal—" Patricia raised one brow. "Let's talk about what formal really means, Marcus." Patricia raised a single finger and silenced the room. "The commission clause doesn't require formal designation. It states, directly originated and finalized under the employee's oversight, which, in Elise's case, is documented. Thoroughly. She manipulated this, Marcus snapped. She documented this, Patricia corrected, without flinching. Across the hall, HR was unraveling. Amanda, Vice President of People Operations, was rifling through Elise's personnel file like it might sprout a new clause if she stared hard enough. This was in her contract the whole time, she muttered. Yes, whispered a junior rep from behind their monitor. Signed year 1, during her retention review. It wasn't flagged. Why didn't we catch it during offboarding? Amanda barked. Because we used the standard checklist, the rep replied. Standard checklist. That's what Elise had counted on, that they'd follow routine, not read line by line, that they'd treat her like a forgettable mid-level ops lead, not someone who'd sewn her own parachute. One stitch at a time. By 2 p.m., Slack had turned radioactive. Random was a live feed of corporate forensics. Marcus is denying it. Legal has the receipts. She has a clause that forces payout if she's terminated. Bro, she samurai'd this company. A meme popped up. Marcus's face photoshopped on a dumpster fire. Caption: When you fire the rainmaker and get billed for the flood. The board had seen the invoice. Finance was looped in. Marcus's discretionary budget? Frozen. Bonus pool? Flagged for reallocation. In meetings, Marcus stopped talking, stopped pacing, stopped fake smiling. He just sat, sweating under the collar, eye twitching every time someone said, contractual exposure. Every time Informus came up, he cleared his throat but said nothing. Elise's name was never spoken, but she haunted every slide deck, every pause, every "we'll circle back." They hadn't just fired her, they'd unleashed her. And now, with 14 business days left, no one asked, are we really going to pay her? Because the answer was already pacing through legal's inbox. And it was wearing heels. By Thursday, the boardroom smelled like fear masked with overpriced eucalyptus diffuser oil. 3 directors had flown in, from Palo Alto, Chicago, and one, quietly, from D.C. A sharp-eyed woman named Denise flew in from Evermark's executive risk division, the kind who only appeared when something was on fire. Marcus wore a blazer for the first time in months. Not because it was cold, Denver was sunny and dry, but because the sweat under his arms had become permanent. Shame had soaked through his dress shirts. Patricia from legal delivered her update with the sharp calm of a scalpel. Yes, the clause is valid. Yes, the documentation supports Elise's claim. Yes, we're exposed. And yes, we're in the press window. That last one hit hardest. The press window was what they called the danger zone, right before a story metastasized. One LinkedIn rant, one leaked Slack message, and suddenly, it's a headline on TechCrunch by lunch. Denise turned to Marcus like she was calculating the cost of replacing him. How did this happen? She went rogue, Marcus muttered. She went documented, Patricia said. Rogue is what you did. Finance slid a paper across the table. Projected payout, $1.2 million. Projected damage, if made public, $7.9 million. Client trust erosion, talent loss, reputational decay. The math wasn't hard. It never is. When ego costs more than execution. Meanwhile, Elise was nowhere near an office. She was on a beach in Santa Barbara. Actual sand, actual sunshine. Kindle in hand, iced drink beside her, dripping with condensation. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She ignored it. Then a second call. It left a voicemail. The transcript slid across her lock screen like karma wearing heels. Hi, Miss Tran. This is Philip Torrance, director at Evermark Holdings. I'd like to discuss an amicable settlement regarding your termination. We'd prefer not to escalate this. She smiled, took a slow sip, waited. An hour later, she called back. Philip! What a surprise, she said sweetly, though she'd already Googled him and found a LinkedIn photo where he looked like a bored Komodo dragon in a suit. We understand there's been confusion, Philip began. There's no confusion, Elise replied. There's a contract, there's documentation, there's an unpaid invoice. He chuckled nervously. Yes. Well, we'd like to propose a fast-track settlement. No delays, full payout, clean break. Our only request is standard, a mutual NDA for both parties. Elise stared at the waves from her chair on the Santa Barbara shoreline, watching a seagull snatch an entire sandwich from an unsuspecting tourist with guiltless precision. "Let me stop you there," she said coolly. "You want to pay me? Fine, but there's no NDA. Philip Torrance hesitated on the line. "That's not typically how we—" "I don't care how you typically do it," Elise cut in, voice sharp and slow like melting steel. "I want the money, not a gag order. If I decide to tell this story on a podcast or at a bar, I'm not asking permission." Silence. Then came the inevitable question. What would make that clause worth removing? Elise smiled. "A clean wire, full amount, 14 days becomes 4. You add a no NDA rider, and I sign by morning." She could practically hear him typing, mouthing each word like it might turn into leverage. But there was no bluff. She had the proof, the leverage, the audience, if she wanted it. By sundown, Marcy sent over the revised agreement. One line was bolded. "This agreement does not include a non-disclosure clause or limitation on public discussion by the payee." Elise signed with her stylus, initialed every page, then added a post-it. "Thanks for the bonus." Back in the Norwell boardroom, Patricia slid the executed contract across the table. Denise said nothing, just stared. Marcus spoke at last. "So, my comp?" "Frozen," Patricia replied. "Pending internal review." That night, someone posted anonymously on Blind, "Director here. Just watched a fired employee dismantle our entire C-suite. If you're reading this, Elise, you're a legend." She was, and she hadn't said a word. At 9:02 a.m., the bank alert buzzed on her phone. Deposit, $1,200,000. Evermark Holdings, LLC. No fanfare. Just black text, white screen. Quiet. Like Elise. She blinked once, opened her work laptop one final time. Slack still pinged. Number sign, build team. Number sign, sprint sync. Number sign, executive thoughts. Marcus had posted, "Pain is temporary. Disruption is forever." She rolled her eyes. Settings. Deactivate. No goodbye, no post. Just closure. Across town, Marcus's phone rang. "Jenna from finance. Too chipper. Hey, just looping you in. We reallocated Q4 discretionary. Your travel funds frozen too? Cabo flagged as non-essential." Silence. "The team knows. We had to rework bonuses to cover the payout. Bit of a morale dip. You might want to—" "Culture, check." Click. He stared at his screen. A Google Doc blinked open. Marcus's greatest misses. Meanwhile, Elise sipped her iced Vietnamese coffee, condensed milk, extra ice, outside a sunlit cafe. Her phone buzzed. A message from Lex, a junior dev she once mentored. "Just heard. You're a legend." Elise smiled. Not a team player, just a closer. Then she put her phone down and let the sun do its work. "Thanks for riding this wave, office survivors. If you felt even an ounce of satisfaction watching this play out, drop a comment below. Tell me what part hit home, or what you would have done in my shoes. I read every message, and trust me, quiet power loves good company. And if you're someone sitting at your desk right now, underestimated, overlooked, or just plain tired of being the unsung engine, remember this: document everything. Know your value before they try to discount it. You don't need a spotlight to win. You just need leverage and timing. Support stories like mine by subscribing. Let's rewrite what power looks like, one quiet storm at a time, at